Okay, we're gonna get right into it here. We got a new pattern. This pattern actually is not even released yet, but it will be here soon. And if you've gotten any of our specialty patterns before, you know that when you download that pattern, you get the line art, like what's sitting here in front of me, as well as a picture of it finally tooled, so you can see kind of how the lines were intended to be there. Well, this pattern is not released yet because I have to finish tooling this so I can have the full thing ready to release. And that's what this piece is that we're cutting out. I'm going to actually tool this pattern up here. So as we do that, there's a few things that I'm doing to get this started here. For one, I'm just going to cut out the main body of this piece, and then I'm going to prep both my pattern and my leather for tooling that. So this is, I guess, a little more than just a tooling video. You can see my whole prep process that we go through here. I don't know that we'll get through tooling the whole pattern up today, but we'll at least get a start on it here. Set that leather to the side. All right, as you guys are jumping on here, we are gonna get ready to get this pattern transferred here. And in doing that, we're gonna prep this leather and the pattern. But this leather that I'm tooling on, this Herman Oak, this is an 8/9 ounce. Now this is this kind of up towards the neck of this height. It's pretty substantial. I'd say this is on the heavier end of an 8/9 ounce, which is good. This will be really nice to tool on. Get the back of this taped. It's because we want to avoid any stretching in that leather as we're tooling that. And this clear packing tape's kind of my preference for taping that there. I'll go back and check here in just a minute on comments and questions. We'll kind of keep up with a little bit of a question and answer as we go through this video here. But any questions you have, whether it's about what I'm doing here on the video or whether it's business type questions. I know we've kind of transitioned from doing the business builders videos to this Leathercraft live, but you know, this time of year right now, things are just extremely busy here in the shop. So if we can kind of work on kill two birds with one stone and do a live question and answer video and get some things done here that need done as well, give you guys some more content, then we're gonna go ahead and do that. But still happy to answer any of the business questions as well as we move along, and you never know what kind of rabbit trails I go off on when we get to talking about that. But I'll get this pattern taped, and then I'm going to check your comments and see where we're at with those. We tape the leather to avoid stretching while we tool it. With the pattern, this is taped just to do a couple things. One, protect this pattern so I can use it again, because when we transfer this onto our leather, that leather is going to be wet. So you put dry paper down on wet leather, and that paper is going to want to absorb your water up from your leather. And when we do that, we don't want to get that paper wet and soggy, because then when we go over with the stylus, it could rip that paper out. front and back with this. I've actually been filming all day today on the next classroom video as well. That's going to be released on the 1st of the month. But the Leather Life classroom, where we work on a new project each month. You get your patterns and get videos start to finish. That is coming up, so I've been getting that rolling here for the September 1st release. And that's coming along really well. Kind of a fun project, really looking towards later in the year, kind of thinking ahead in the business aspect of it, as to what we're building there. So that'll be fun. We'll get that information released out shortly as well. Okay, patterns coming up here. Let's see, where are we at question wise? Terry, beautiful pattern, thank you. Oh, Connie, having trouble hearing. Yeah, I was standing on the other side there. Hopefully things will be a little better. I'll keep the camera a little bit closer from now on. I'm gonna have to plug in here in a minute, but Dan, got my entry for the tooling contest started today. Outstanding. Yeah, I was gonna do a post on all the great entries that we have in so far. We've been getting some great entries in on that, so that's amazing. Christopher, is that tape any better than painter's tape? You know, I really like it. I don't know that, I mean, I guess some people use painter's tape and get along with it. It doesn't seem like it has the same grab to me as this does, but you know, if it works well for some people, then that's great. I've just always used that clear tape and really liked it. Connie, pretty pattern. You should post ahead of time if you're doing a new pattern in case anyone wants to buy it and tool along with you. Yes, Connie, that would be great. This pattern here, actually, I would love to do that. This pattern, when I'm tooling up here, this is actually going to be the picture of what I finished doing here is going to be the tooled picture that comes along with this pattern as it gets released. So this one will be released shortly. But I'm gonna move spots with you. So let's head on over here to our tooling bench. Move some of this stuff out of the way. And we were in Chris, seems like the clear tape pulls off without breaking than the painter's tape. Okay, there we go. Yeah, some people, there's always another way of doing things, right? Okay, I think we're plugged in here. Oh yeah, we're charging now, so we're good. Okay, we'll keep moving along here. All right, before I transfer this, we're gonna wet this pattern down. Get other patterns out of the way here. This is it's gonna take quite a bit of water to start with here. You know, it's a pretty substantial piece of leather there. Like I said, about that 9-ounce weight. And so we're watching for how quick that water's absorbing in there. I want to get that moisture down in the leather, get that good base to it. So it's taking a second to absorb. We'll re-wet that again before we start doing much with it, but that's going to get us a start to it here. And then as I lay this pattern down, which has already been taped, right, it's basically covering this leather here with that plastic from the tape. And so it's going to allow the leather from underneath to continue drawing that moisture and get that set down in my leather there. Get this held in place. Grab my stylus. Oops, try not to bump things too bad. But now we can go along and get this transferred in here. So right now, feel free to continue. You can continue asking whatever questions. Can't see my screen where I'm at, so I will catch back up with those here in just a minute. But I'm going to be kind of concentrating as I go around here. And especially a pattern with like this, it has a lot of lines to it. I try to be systematic when I move around here. So I notice that this little spot up here is all contained within its own vine work. It doesn't flow through to the rest of the pattern. So I started at that leaf down there. And now I'm just gonna continue around. And get all this vine work up here. Transferred in. So now I know I have all that vine work. I can come in, catch this flower. I'm really kind of looking forward to tooling this one up. That's having these points out here on this, on the flowers and those leaves. It's a little different than what I typically have on a lot of my patterns. We just kind of add that little bit of a variety in on this particular pattern here. Okay, I'm gonna leave that spot there, obviously, for my maker's mark. Now, if later on you get this pattern and once it's released and you don't have a round maker's mark to put in there, then that leaves you options. You can put initials in there. You can just fill in with some vines across that. Put a little concho in there. Lots of options for that little area there. And anytime if you get lost and you're transferring these, you need to check and see where you're at. See if you've missed any lines or which one you're on. As long as you keep one hand down, you can pick this up all you want and it'll lay right back down. So I can pick that up, see that, okay, I'm doing pretty good. Just need to continue out around this circle here. Where people get into trouble is if they don't hold that down and just pick the whole pattern up, because you can never quite get it exactly if you do that, seems like. I'm gonna get this side of the cross transferred, and then we'll double check on our comments and see if there's any questions I've missed so far. I'd be curious too, as we're tooling this along, what you think you may use this pattern on. If you were gonna get this pattern and put it on something, it would just be a wall hanging or a Bible cover or a bag, or what this would go on. Always curious on these specialty patterns, what people would use them for. Everybody's got good projects in mind all the time, it seems like. Okay, I'm gonna check my comments here. Juan, thanks for sharing your knowledge. Oh, you're welcome on. I appreciate the encouragement. How do you go from hand-drawn picture to printed pattern? Okay, Terry, good question. For me, it's not a very fancy process. I'll actually show you here. Let me turn this and show you what we got going on here. So see right there in my shop, that's a light box, so I can turn that on. And what I do is I get my drawing, put it on the light box there, get a fresh piece of paper, lay that on there, and then I take a fine tip Sharpie and go over all my lines. So when you guys print off a pattern like this and it looks like it's, you know, been on the computer and computerized or whatever, that's actually still all hand done by me with a Sharpie. So if you see irregularities in something or mistakes, that's why, because it's still all hand done. But great question though. Connie, like the painter's tape? Right on. Yeah, some people do. Judson stopped in to nab some tools and got to chat with Barry King this past weekend at his at his shop. Excited to see him out in Pendleton with y'all soon. Excited to see your shop as well, Joe. Awesome, Judson. Well, look forward to having you out here. Connie, been taping your patterns down so you don't have to move them. That's a good idea as well. Dwayne Reynolds, who makes a good edger for 2 3-ounce leather? Gosh, there's probably lots of people out there. The one little edger I like that's actually within reach here is one of my edgers that I like. This is a Ron's edger. It works really well on light, you know, that lightweight leather. The numbers are going to be different with different styles, so I couldn't tell you exactly the style, but this is a number 4 on this little edger here, but that works really good. And then, like I said, there's lots of different types, but you know, small sharp edger is going to work really good on that lighter leather. Where we go here? Sorry, scrolling through the comments there. Matt's finally made it to one of your live shows. Awesome. Oops, cancel. Where we go? If I hit the wrong button, it messes things up here. Hope your new business is doing well and your grand opening is just as great. Now I'm bust out some Herman oak. Awesome. Good deal. Like to see, tooling right along here. Terry thought it was a computer. Good. Well, that's good. That makes me happy that it's I'm doing a good job on it anyways. What type of edge is on that tool you're using? So what I'm using right here, see how well our zoom does on this, or focus maybe rather. It's just a ball point on this thing. It's really just a dull ball point. If you don't have one of these, then real similar, a little ballpoint pen will work as well. But this is just a little bit finer than the ballpoint pen, so that works good. And then up here, this is just kind of a modeling spoon type of edge to that. Okay, have you found a particular brand of stylus that has a finer point than other brands? Yes, that question goes right along with it. So as I answer that, I'm going to work through one more of these sides here so we can get to doing a little bit of knife work. But, you know, this little guy here has a pretty decent little point to it. The finest point of any of the ones that I have is going to be that Barry King one. But again, for what you're doing with them, I don't know that it has to be super fancy or anything like that. You know, unless you're getting in really, really detailed work on stuff. Because what you're doing with this stylus in this instance, when I'm transferring these patterns, is I'm just laying down a guideline, right? It's a base guideline that gives me an idea where that line should be. And then when we go to run our knife work, we're gonna try to make nice, smooth, even cuts and look to see where I want those cuts to actually flow at. You know, this doesn't have to be dead on accurate when I'm transferring these lines for a floral work like this. It's just giving me that rough idea as I go. Now, as you're just getting started and you're not maybe sure exactly where you want that line to go, then it's going to be a little more important that you take a little extra time and get really exact as you transfer these lines. But for the most part, you're going to be able to get pretty clean look at it with most any of the styluses that are out there. Like I say, I could do this same thing with a ballpoint pen, and would get just fine lines on there, as far as being able to see what I needed to see. And that's with, you know, any pattern that's not ridiculously intricate. So, I mean, this is fairly intricate for a lot of the patterns that I put out. So if you're talking about one of those, then, man, you're pretty safe with all that stuff. Let's see. This specialty pattern would be a good complement to the heart design and would be nice on a Bible cover or wedding photo album. Ooh, wedding photo album too. Yeah, that'd be cool. I have a hard time making my own pattern. Yeah, it definitely takes a bit of a practice and work at it for sure. Dwayne, is the cross a sneak peek at September Leather Life class? So no, Dwayne, the cross actually has nothing to do with the Leather Life classroom. That's a great question. But it does not have anything to do with that. I've been filming all day for the Leather Life classroom, but it is not on the cross. The project that we're doing for the Leather Life classroom is actually one that's thinking quite a bit ahead in the year, really thinking towards, you know, kind of the business aspect if you're wanting to be taking orders on something, even doing things as gifts. It's going to be real valuable. But there's part of it that you can either use for the project that we're doing or like the tooling portion. The tooling portion will work not only for the project that we're doing, but you'll be able to find lots of other uses for that tooling piece as well. If for some reason you don't want to do the project that we're doing, there's lots of other going to be other uses for that as well. So I think I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's a great project. It's one I've been planning on for a while. We've actually have the year planned out with what we're doing. I think there's only 1 month left to plan. But other than that, all the months are kind of planned out. And again, doing that with things in mind, such as preparing for things, you know. we kind of planned out, you know, Mother's Day, yes, Father's Day, dads and grads, kind of get some ideas there done, and doing them in a time of the year where you had a little bit of time to get some of that done ahead of time for when you may actually need those. This project that we're doing in September for the classroom, I feel like we've done a really good job of thinking even further ahead, to where, especially if you're taking orders or running a business at all, or doing this for a little side money, that it's going to allow you time to not only build products up, but maybe do a little marketing, get that out there, take some orders, whatever the case may be on it. So pretty excited about it, but nope, this actually has nothing to do with that project. Let's see, figure out where I'm at here. Well, this cross will actually be a new specialty pattern getting released. And it's kind of fun. There's this specialty pattern. I also have another one that that's going to be released. It's already drawn up as well. Gonna get it tooled up here pretty soon. But that one I think's really cool too, with what people will be able to use that for. Okay, double check where we're at. See if we're missing any lines here. Get back, check some comments here in just a minute. Okay, I think we got all of those done. I'm gonna, before I start cutting anything in, I'm actually just gonna go ahead and lay this maker's mark right in place here. Make sure we're lined up good and straight. Okay. All right, let's check where we're at comment-wise. Yes, okay. Have you had a lot of entries for the competition? Yes, we've had quite a few entries roll in. We'll actually get a post going on that here probably tomorrow. I want to kind of talk about that a little bit more, but yeah, the entries have been awesome. It's been fun seeing those come in and see what people are working on for that. It's gonna be really cool to get that display up and start the voting on that. Be good. Great Christmas project, it sounds like. Oh, hey, yeah, that's good thinking. Dwayne, the suspense is growing. Right on. When will you release the Shaps yoke pattern? I'm hoping soon, Connie. I don't have an exact release date on that yet, but my hope is to have that released, I would say, what's the date today? We're the last of August here. I want to say within the next few weeks, within the next 3 to 4 weeks, I'm hoping on that, Connie, for the yoke pattern there. have you done an interview with Don Gonzalez for his podcast? I'm dying to hear you two chat. Ray, no, I have not. Honestly, I have never met Don or spoke to Don, so yeah, a good chance he has no idea who I am. Would be my guess. He's kind of been at this game and doing the YouTubes and the videos and all that, and for a bit longer than I have, I think. And yeah, I know I had listened to his podcast a couple times, and seen a few of his videos, but I don't really follow along with them all the time. I'm kind of busy working on trying to put out my own content, so I don't take in a ton of it. But yeah, I think he's got a really good deal going, and I hear tons of great things, from everybody about that. It'd be great to chat with them or get on either get on one of the podcasts. What I'd really love, I'd love to have him come on up here and be in the classroom, come teach a class and do a live from here, and we'd have lots of fun. I think, again, never meeting the guy and really only seeing a couple videos of his. I don't know for sure, but I think it'd be great to chat with him on something like that, and I think he's got a real heart for teaching, which I can definitely respect, and I think I know he's done a lot for the leather community, just in different things that I hear people telling me they've learned from him, or getting tagged in a lot of the same things when people are asking for, hey, where's a good place to learn stuff? And so I get to read a lot of comments that he's tagged in, and lots of really good reports. So, like I said, seems like pretty awesome guy, but I don't know him personally, and never have had a chance to chat with him yet. All right, get a few of these feathers done. I'm gonna check on my comments here. Where we at? What kind of frame do you use for the finished piece? Oh gosh, no particular frame. You can frame it with anything. I don't know a whole lot about framing to say anything one way or the other on that. There, Paul, is with a good kind or bad kind. I don't know. A nice wood frame I think would look really cool on something like this, though. Billy Beasley, I'm from Oklahoma. Right on. Do you transfer your pattern off with regular paper? Yep, that's what we did. Regular paper like that with the packing tape. That's what we did to transfer that one. Oh, Don, why not? Oh, why? I'm not sure when you asked the why not there, Don, but my guess is why I hadn't talked to him yet. But yeah, hopefully I explained that. Nothing. Okay, groups, use of power, social media. So hit Don G up and get these boys together. Right on. Yeah, gosh, no, that would be pretty cool. Like I say, somebody like Don who's well respected in the community and does great work. I think we definitely have similar goals with a lot of that stuff. So That'd be pretty darn cool. But I don't know, it's easy to, I don't know, get just in what we do and not, I don't know, kind of maybe underestimate what we do and think, you know, not want to reach out or bother or whatever else, you know. People have asked me that before, like, well, gosh, why haven't you done anything, or why doesn't he have you on there, or have you guys ever done anything together? I'm like, man, I don't know. I just think like I'm just kind of a guy up here tooling on leather and trying to help as many people as I can by answering some questions, but I don't feel like I necessarily have it all together like some people do, you know. I mean, gosh, that's a guy that's pretty dang handy at what he does, and you know, like I said, I feel pretty I don't know how to put it, I guess. Like, I don't feel like an expert in the industry by any means. I think it's just honestly willing to help people is kind of what I go on, and so I don't know if, I mean, I've heard, like I said, I listened to a couple of the podcasts he's had, and he's had some really amazing, talented people on there that are running some big time stuff, and so I don't know if having me on there would be anything he'd actually be interested in or not, you know. Like I say, there's a whole lot of people out in this industry that are extremely talented and very good at what they do, and I feel like, you know, I feel like my tooling is up to par and okay, and I just really feel like it's been my willingness to answer questions, honestly, and I know when I was getting started, anybody that knew a little bit more than me could sure help me out just by telling me what they knew, you know, and so that's kind of where I try to do, where I try to be for people, I guess, is not necessarily be some kind of expert, but to be really just willing to help with what I do know. You know, and I think there's other people who are sure what I would call more experts in the field. So this little pattern here, I can already tell as I'm cutting this. I can see some comments popping in there out of the corner of my eye. We'll check those here in just a second. But I can already tell here that I'm going to use my little bevel quite a bit in this pattern. This really is kind of an intricate little pattern, so I think it's going to be fun. You know, be kind of challenging, but really turn out pretty darn neat as we go along here. I'm going to get through this little section, and I'll check comments, see where we're at here. Okay. By the way, your new carving tabletop is cool. It seems very functional with the extra space on the side of the granite. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I really do like this. And I like that it's inset, so we're flush. I mean, it's fairly flush. It's it's my construction skills, so my leather working's a little better than my construction. But anyways, it's relatively flush, so you can lay things off the side pretty easy while you're tooling, and that makes it kind of nice too. So I have really enjoyed that. Paul, when you cut real short lines, is a cut or more of a stab? Boy, that's a good question. It's some of the really little ones can almost be more of a stab. Let's find one here. So as I come down, the other thing too, just a side note, when I get to these points, you can see I'm not connecting these points. I know we've talked about that in some other videos, but I just always want to bring that up. That's going to connect with a bevel, but I'm not connecting it with my knife. I want to keep the integrity of the leather there so we don't create a point that can lift up. But like this little guy here, I mean, it's a little cut, but if they get much shorter than that, then it is almost a stab than a cut. Like right here, I mean, it's stabbing and just barely pulling to get those in there. Matt, you've done pretty well for yourself, Joe. I personally don't try to compare anyone, whether it be Leathercraft or the average Joe. No pun intended. Yeah. Sure in time your paths will cross. Yeah. Yeah, Matt, I agree. Like, I'm sure we'll see him somewhere at some function or whatnot and get a chance to meet him, chat with him. But yeah, I would agree with you. No worrying and pushing it. You have an amazing talent for breaking it down where even a ranked beginner can understand and stretch the limits of what they're able to accomplish. Oh, thank you, Connie. I appreciate that. Frank sure helped me a lot. Thanks from Vancouver Island. Right on, Frank. Come from the position of learning this craft on my own, I find that your content is on point. It takes a village to raise a craftsman. We just have to stay focused and hit the stone. Yeah, that's, man, I love how you say that. It takes a village to raise a craftsman. That's a pretty good way of saying it, you know. I've had the students and stuff talk to me about, you know, wow, started doing this, which I know you do it a little different. That's what so-and-so told me to do. That's what I learned from there. So I need to break that. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like, you just do what works for you, and you're gonna find different things from different people, right? And I think that's really like what you say, where it takes a village to raise a craftsman. I do really like that saying. But yeah, because you're gonna learn something a little different from everybody that is gonna work for you, you know, and other things that maybe don't work for you. You know, you'll learn something from me where you're like, oh man, that works great, and then other things that you'll be like, yeah, I don't like that, you know, which is awesome. I think that's really the way it should be, because nobody's gonna have the one size fits all when it comes to something like artwork, especially when you're working with a medium like leather. You know, which is great. That's where, you know, that's how different people develop their own style, right? You can look at somebody's work and like, oh man, that's so-and-so's work. I know what that looks like. You know, that's that's how they do flowers. That's their vine work. That's whatever the thing is, you know, maybe it's something about how they craft something, how they put it together. You know, that's what makes it theirs. And that only comes from, you know, being able to pick different things up from different people, right? And that's how we're gonna develop our own styles, is from, you know, you learn a little bit from this person, then you see something there, oh, that I really like that, and I'm gonna try that, and then, but maybe I can tweak it and mix it with a little bit of this, and you know, and you start figuring out what works for you and what you like. I think at this point in the game, you know, leatherwork's been around for how many years now? I mean, it's been doing leatherwork for a long darn time. So to come up with something entirely new that's never been done with leather before, man, that's going to be a tough one, you know. That's a challenge right there, to come up with something that's never been done before. You know, so I think it's more so just going to be a matter of putting your own spin on things, putting your own flavor on them, and then continuing to push the bounds of what's possible, right? You'll think of that's where the new technologies and stuff come from, new techniques. And, you know, I think there's room for growth out there in the industry. But there's sure been a whole lot done, so rather than starting from complete scratch, you know, I think it's good to learn from other people, and if you can learn something and somebody can condense down what they've learned over years, and you can learn a lot of that in a course or several courses or whatever over a span of time following somebody, either way. But if you can, even if you followed somebody for 6 months and were able to pick up on a lot of what they have learned over years, man, that gets you that much further down the path and that much closer to innovation and developing and coming up with new stuff. But if you're trying to just start right on from your very own to learn it all, man, that can be a rough road to go. You know, and I don't know, some people get really uptight about sharing information, and, well, they gotta, and that next guy, he's gonna have to struggle how I struggle. You know, we all struggled through it. They better struggle through it. Well, I mean, I understand what they're saying. I don't agree with it, but I get what you're saying when they say that. I think that's also really closing off, again, and not wanting to see the industry thrive further, see that art grow and expand. I think the more people we can share what we know with, and advance that along, man, what kind of cool stuff are we gonna see? You know, what can somebody come up with? If you can teach somebody the basics and they figure out how to do it, then they can just go right on to being creative with it. And that's going to open up for a whole lot more cool stuff. You know, I love doing the classes we were talking earlier on the Leather Life class. You know, I put out the same project to hundreds of people, the same patterns, the same videos, but, you know, a lot of it will leave the finish maybe a little generic, or leave room for creativity in it. And seeing the pictures come back, what everybody comes back with is amazing. Again, the same pattern, same project, and everybody's different spin on it. You know, I love that. We're putting out patterns like these Signature Series patterns, or excuse me, not the Signature Series patterns. I'm getting my belts and my patterns mixed up. My specialty patterns. You know, put out these specialty patterns and seeing how creative people are, what kind of projects they're used on, how they combine them with other patterns, and you know, put different finishes and color, and it's just been really fun to see. So I think by sharing that knowledge out, it's just one more thing to help the industry grow further, faster in the future. I know, that's why I don't know, it's good to see guys doing things, doing classes, doing videos, you know. Julie Bogger, great inspiration, and what she's done with her classroom, and helping people on the construction side and on building. And then, you know, guys like Don Gonzalez or Jim Linnell, I don't know either of them personally, never talked to either of them, but you know, what they're doing is amazing stuff. So it's good to see and great to be a part of. Let's see here. Let me check on my comments here. Okay. Terry, it seems your great talent is versatile. Have you done Celtic or Viking type patterns tooling? About the closest I've come there, Terry, is like, I think it's called a Celtic Knot. You know, it's like 4 strands braided together. I've done some of that, but I just haven't really messed with a whole lot of that, to be honest with you. Paul, art is theft. That's funny. Paul, there isn't much new in any craft, just different ways of doing the old ways. Yeah, you know, it's cool when you just see different twists on things, but it's not, you know, I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be tough to come up with something truly, truly new, but I'm sure excited when somebody does. It's going to be awesome. Frank, it's a fear thing. People don't like upstarts. Well, yeah, people don't like upstarts. Sometimes people think there's a lot, you know, limited opportunity in the market, which I highly disagree with. Anybody that's followed any of the business builders that I've done knows that. I think there's tons of room in the market. You know, yeah, I think that comes down to the person running the business. All right, Warrior 1977. Oh man, this is pushing my Spanish quite a bit without running translate. Yeah. Sorry, Warrior. I'm gonna have to check some Google Translate so I can get back to you on that. Mi español es muy piquito. Paul, this craft has been around for millennia, this is the way is passed down on the shoulders of giants before us. The only difference is the size of the audience. Ah, very nice. Are you finding your knife starting to drag? The leather is looking dry. Just for my edification, so I know when to rehydrate. Ah, Frank, great question there. Yeah, I mean, is that dragging a little bit? This is still feeling pretty good. It wasn't really dragging towards the end there because I had enough moisture in that to start with. I can still feel that leather when I actually feel it to the touch. I can tell it's still a little bit damp. You know, I could continue cutting more if I needed to at this point, but yeah, it's definitely starting to get a little dry, so that's good. Frank, you're picking up on the color. You know, that's one of the telltale signs, right? The color, and then you're asking about that drag of the knife, you know, and the feel of that. So those are definitely the signs. And yeah, it's getting close, but again, if this pattern was bigger and I needed to cut some more, I still could on there. But that is going to get re-wet down before I bevel that. But I mean, just to give you an idea on the burnishing of that, so where that moisture content's at, we'll just bevel a little line here. You know, so you can see that's my steep bevel, so it's not casting that shadow farther out, but it's getting a really nice burnish there. But that, yeah, so that moisture's still pretty decent, but seeing as how we still have that whole thing to bevel, it would get all the way wet down and then let that set in to start beveling, which probably not going to do that right now this evening, but I might step that up, start doing some more on these lives. Maybe we might jump on this tomorrow and do some beveling on it too, and keep this rolling. Jim, love that pattern. Thank you. I think it's going to be a fun pattern here. This is going to be the newest the newest specialty pattern that's going to be released. It's not released yet, so there is not a link for it, but the link to my website in the description here is where this will be up. So if you're not on here live, but you're watching this later and wondering about that pattern, then hey, it could be up. Be sure and check that. Within a few days of this live, that pattern should be up and rolling, depending on what the schedule looks like tomorrow, how good we get this. I damn sure couldn't draw it myself. That's awesome. Yeah, as long as I get the class project done and rolling tomorrow, which have finished drying right now. We're gonna kind of finish that up in the morning. Those videos should be ready to roll, so that should be good. Should allow time that we can jump on this maybe tomorrow evening and do some more tooling on that. But might swap it up, do part of this on Facebook, maybe part of it on Instagram. Come back here with some more. Who knows? We've got all the places and all the videos. So appreciate you guys being on here, hanging out with me. Okay, here Matt's is helping me with my Spanish. My Spanish is 50-50, but I think he is asking if you're cutting with just the point of the knife and if you're cutting it in one cut, something along the lines of that, I believe. Okay, so who was it? It was Warrior, right? Warrior 1977. All right. So yeah, when I cut with that knife, we're gonna go with it, Matt. So I'm going with your translation. So I'm gonna try to cover all aspects of it. So the blade I'm using, this is a straight blade on this knife. This is a Leather Wrangler's knife. It's a 3/8 barrel with a 1/4 inch blade, but that is a straight blade on there. When I cut, I tip that knife. So that knife is tipped and it's just the edge of that going in. So if I was making a cut, it would be like that and pulling along there. So hopefully that answers the question with that Warrior had with Matt's. I appreciate the help on the translation. So hopefully we got it pretty close there. And the incline angle, yeah, so hopefully we got it there. Connie, yes, please do film your whole tooling process for us. Okay, we'll, yes, that way you got each step along the way. So we'll do that. With that in mind, Connie, maybe we'll keep this all on YouTube, just so they're easier to find at that point. So that is a good point there. Paul, good morning from North Wales. Oh man, I love the reach that we get on here. It's amazing. So appreciate all you guys. Have a great evening. Let me know what questions you have, and we'll be back for more videos on here.